I'm joined here by AJ Pepley, and we're looking forward to a fantastic night of Smash Bros.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see what comes up here. We got a lot of characters that they could choose from with a lot of archetypes that they could use to counter each other. But the fun part is we don't know who's going to pick what, so we just have to see what ends up going, what characters that could get countered by the other team, or it be a really even matchup. I'm always a sucker for a surprise or for variety or anything like that, so I'm just looking forward to that.
That makes a lot of sense. With Super Smash Bros., there's a very large selection of characters.
I think with a lot of fighting games too, all of these different games are very different in playstyles. They always have the same overarching, and a lot of these keys really apply to all those other ones, but it is especially important now with this specific one.
So we have some of the players on the stage. The wide range of these types of things that can come from how people play this way, a different way to approach matchups, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I heard that we might be seeing a Ness or maybe a Sephiroth or an Olimar.
I don't know if that was actually a Washington. I don't know if that was actually a Washington player or not, but like Rob is also a very interesting pick as well. Rob's options are, in general, you would see that the matchup for Incineroar would be a little difficult. That Incineroar is a grappler character, and with Rob's ability to space out his quick stock coming from Washington State.
Excellent edge guard right there. Rob making sure Incineroar could not get back on the point.
Definitely, we're seeing what I was saying previously with the strengths of.
Wow.
We see a very quick match here.
Not a single chance for BSU to stay on that central platform. Great play from Rob right there.
How do you think that the BSU can change his approach going into the next round?
Well, so far we just saw what seemed
the space on the stage to make sure that the Incineroar could not close that gap.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of those smashes being thrown around. There's a side smash or a down smash. Both of those directions, as long as Incineroar didn't go up anywhere, then he was basically stuck. We saw Washington State managing to land all of these attacks nearly perfectly to make sure that no matter how close BSU was managing to get back on the central platform, recognizing all of that skill where it's deserved. So hopefully things go well for Boise State, but at the same time, Washington State is putting off a very, very dangerous start.
And very, very strong start as that, too. I don't know how much you know about some of the things that go into Smash. One of the big portions of it, too, is also like counterpicking the stage. We're going straight into the next match here.
Wow, we see that Rob staying, but we got a bit of a
changing of how you approach the edge guard. We're seeing that Rob is applying pressure at the edge. BSU's able to take the space back, try to control the space on the edge guard.
Yeah, it is interesting seeing how differently
the space here.
That upward mobility is making him very scary, making it hard to knock him out.
Jokic finally get to take the stock here with a solid back air. Good read. Kill off things that usually cannot take a stock he can take a stock very early if he has his persona up.
Yeah. The thing I found most interesting personally was kind of like we were talking about before with the different edge.
We saw that a lot in the last match with Joker, where a lot of when trying to edge guard, we see that the players are trying to scramble to try to gain control of the stage or control how their opponent has to come back to the stage that is most safe and those types of projectiles, especially when you're in the combination of both of them being used together.
Absolutely. That top makes it very difficult for people to get back on that stage because that limits the amount of area that they're allowed to get to use.
Here we come up with the Olimar pick like we were talking about earlier. Hopefully BSU can take this. BSU is down a couple Pikmin. We see the Olimar has to retake his space to try to recoup his. BSU is down a couple Pikmin. We see the Olimar has to retake his space to try to recoup his stuff. He's back to 3 Pikmin here.
Very intense combo from Rob right there, putting him walloped by the Rob right now.
Rob is using his stronger tools in neutral here to try to space out the Olimar and hoping that he can get one of the projectiles to hit to convert on. BSU down. Both players here playing very safely with the projectiles and trying to find an opening.
Exactly. We see it. Oh, great shot.
Making sure that he was getting damage with his Pikmin was I think the really big deciding factor here, where he wasn't having to make these big plays for combos where he can just rack up damage from just throwing his Pikmin at the Rob.
Yeah, we saw a lot of him throwing those Pikmin at the very start, and we saw how quickly that racked up that damage meter. And so that was a very, very intense start from PSU's side, because they managed to get that first stock off of Rob almost like within the first minute. And obviously Rob put up more of a fight afterwards, but that very start was very scary.
You saw how the Rob really, after losing the first stock, that he really shifted his game plan of how he has to approach fighting Olimar, with how he was using his projectiles to make sure that he was getting an opening on Olimar to be able to convert off of those projectiles to make sure that he can get meaningful damage and take the stock.
We saw him playing much safer, and we saw that from both sides, especially once they both got down to one stock. But like we were talking about before, that change in strategy is so important, because this Rob came real close to winning, and we saw that primarily they could win that round.
Yes, definitely. We'll see. Hopefully that BSU can take this Olimar, and hopefully he can run the gauntlet between the rest of the Wazoo players or the Washington players.
Yeah, looking at these keys, we did see a lot of this happening in those first few battles. Maybe not so much the taunting part, but all those dodges, the shields, guards, everything like that were being brought out constantly, especially in a fighting game as fast-paced as this. You have to be ready to block every single thing. It's going to be impossible to block everything, but it is important. Like it's saying, it's key to make sure you roll out of the way, make sure you block these attacks so that way you don't get put in a tough spot.
Definitely. We are still waiting we're still waiting and see what comes up for the next match. What would you like to see coming out from Wazoo side, or Washington side, if you would, character-wise?
I don't know.
With when people play Donkey Kong most recently, that we're seeing a lot of people pick up that character and are thriving in the scene right now with Donkey Kong, and just the way that these heavy characters carry themselves on the stage, there is a presence that you need to be very aware when you play these more.
Realize that he is a much bigger target and he's way slower, but he can hit her hard, so they both have to be very careful of how they play.
I think it's also the type of thing, if you look at it too, for heavy characters, that heavy characters, what we call them is combo food, right? They're easy because they're big and you can combo them very easy, racking up damage very easy, but to take those stocks is very difficult. And we see that with DK, where DK will a lot of times make sure that he's setting up into a situation where he can ground the player using his forward smash, where he will ground the player and then he can convert that ground into a stock with using his charge up punch, his neutral B, or even just grabbing and going for off stage and throwing the target off stage with his cargo grab.
Yeah, so like the same way that these lightweight characters have to watch to make sure they don't make that one mistake, these heavyweight characters have to watch for when they make that one mistake, because that one specific opening could get an entire stock down, maybe even a one-hit KO, depending on how well they play it. And
it's also the opposite for lighter characters, where lighter characters have to wait for the opening where the heavy character makes the mistake to combo off to build this damage, right? And the lighter characters tend to, you see a lot of play where they rack up all this damage, or sometimes they just cannot take the stock off these heavy characters. And we tend to see that a lot, where because also the matchup knowledge for the heavy characters, right? Not a lot of people play these heavy characters, so the knowledge of what these players know about these characters is a little more limited.
Yeah, exactly. But something that I've noticed about light characters that I find to be interesting is I see them, especially the ranged ones, constantly picking lighter, like low damage shots on these heavy characters. So they slowly chip away at that damage meter until it gets up to like high 70s up to like 100, when they start going a lot more, they start pushing a lot more to make sure that they can get those big hits to knock them off stage, if I try to more. But I just love the series, and I love all of the stuff that goes behind these characters, and I love how to play them. And so as I play these characters, I've seen just a little bit of how I should play depending on who I fight against, because it's scary fighting those big characters, because half of my health could go in like just a few seconds. I mean, is right. So clearly you have that strategy in mind whenever you go against these big characters, and frankly, it's quite impressive to see people who pull that off correctly.
I'm still waiting on we're going to go to a break while we wait for Washington, but don't go anywhere, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Once there was a traveler whose feet never left the ground. With only his mind as his map and his senses, without conflict, there is no resolution. Without verses, there is no victory.
Here in Idaho, we do things a little differently. First rule, camouflage never goes out of style. Next, always use fry sauce. I mean, why wouldn't you? Hold steady, went out of...
Stay with me. I'm stronger than what you wanted, even through all the times you burned me down. I'll keep rising from the... You used to always...
We're actually more informed now. With the rule sets, it's going to be best of 3 team battles. We're actually more informed now. With the rule sets, it's going to be best of 3 team battles.
Yes, that is true.
Which is why we're seeing the switch up of characters every match and people throwing away their stocks at the beginning of the round. So
Yeah. So a bit of a change up, but it's going to be...
But usually there's also a concept of counterpicking, specifically in Smash. It's less so in other fighting games. But Smash has a concept of counterpicking people based on the character they play by picking a certain type of stage.
Yeah.
Because certain stage has our opponent land on these platforms and use their strong aerial options to extend their combos. And Rob has those similar moves too. So we saw that the Rob player was using a lot of those platforms to bounce projectiles off of them, land
Especially with that
projectiles.
top. Yeah, we saw that top being used a lot.
Being selected. And we saw that the characters, there was a situation that the Rob put the Olimar player in, where the Olimar player had the top on their back and the Rob on their front, pressuring them from both sides. And the Olimar player played very patiently and very smart to make sure that they were able to parry the Rob's attack to convert on and get themselves out of that really tight situation.
Yeah.
Times that the Rob player specifically, as we only saw one Washington player today, that the Washington player did such a good job of making sure that in every neutral engagement that they were playing with an advantage, which was so interesting to watch with how they were winning a neutral, with the top always being in hand, laser always being ready, and always using those things to force these players into cutting down the BSU players' options to narrow down the Boise State's players' options to make plays.
Having the player know all of their resources hit so hard.
This Donkey Kong wants to get in here, being Donkey Kong is a grappler. The pressure comes out already with 2 forward airs, back air, sorry, coming from the DK. Cargo comes back there on the stage. No tech coming out from the Olimar. Make very difficult choices. And making sure that the Olimar cannot zone out the DK.
Yeah, and especially being down 2 stocks, it was a rough portion for him. So at that point, perhaps the strategy was just to get 1 stock down to make the next game just a little bit easier. But unfortunately, that Donkey Kong was quickly. We saw how much damage he managed to rack up on that Donkey Kong through just throwing his Pikmin or just landing tight little shots just everywhere. So while they didn't end up getting any stocks on that Donkey Kong, 2 heavyweights means a lot of damage, but a lot of health that can be used to tank that damage. So we might be here for a
good damage
while.
coming out already. 52% coming out from DDD.
Insane damage just to start off.
Gordo into.
Great start from BSU. Things are looking good for them so far. So if he can keep up this great play that he's got
These
so
pressure, the Gordo applying so much pressure here, making sure that DDD is able to control the space that they need on this stage here, forcing this DK to not edge guard so closely to the edge.
Absolutely. And the bouncing makes it so hard to follow too. It's very difficult.
Unfortunate here, hitting the stale hitbox on that forward air, trying to gain the spike.
At the end, nearly managing to take that third and final stock without taking a single hit.
The DDD here did such a fantastic job making sure that this DK didn't have the chance to breathe, to make sure that he didn't get in to grab the DDD to convert into big combos that could go to straight to stock sometimes with DDD's combo potential off his grabs.
Yeah, we saw how well he was managing to dodge nearly each one of DK's punches. So even though he has a very low character that DDD is going to have to go up against, so like we mentioned before, that change in strategy was always so important because the way that that he was playing this round might not work against the next character that we'll see.
100%. Especially with characters who are able to prevent DDD by preventing him of using Gordo. Characters such as Link, who can pocket Gordo and use Gordo against, or not Link, sorry, Isabel or Villager, who can pocket Gordo and use Gordo against DDD, or knock DDD back, or reflect him back using the multitude of tools that lead to Gordo as an option.
Certainly. So we see Gordo getting launched out real fast, but it immediately gets
And I
taken
immediately
down.
see the fire arrows that I was talking about in neutral.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that block, really hard to hit him in these.
We're seeing that DDD is finding his niche here, trying to make sure that he's able to change his playstyle to make sure that this Link cannot take the advantages through these projectiles. Gordo betrays DDD here, being reflected back by a flame arrow.
Yeah, it's a very great resource to have, but if it's used against you, well, it's dangerous to you too, so you got to be real careful with it.
DDD trying to find the opening here. These aerials, these strong options coming out from the young Link here. 111% isn't looking very good. Gordo coming out again.
See a lot of blocks happening, a lot from both the shield and from those
35%
projectiles.
for Washington State.
It's a very scary spot they're in, but we have seen this incredible prowess from this DDD. We've seen how well he is able to dodge and block and use that Gordo to his advantage. He manages to get so many hits and so many...
To pressure the DDD was immense. We saw fire arrows being used, bombs, even the hook shot being used to try to make sure that the DDD approaches, gets grabbed, and could be even thrown off the map to pressure him off the stage. And the DDD player was able to change his strategy to approach this Link in a very specific way that want him.
When I don't want Washington State to be put at a disadvantage because, well, frankly, that's just not fair. And I don't like it when this isn't fair. So I'm glad to see that we're making sure everyone's prepared before we get started.
Definitely. So this DDD player is coming into the situation now. He knows who his matchup is against Samus. Hopefully that he's able to take this time to think about what ways that he can win.
Absolutely. But the Link was able to dodge all those projectiles. He was spitting right back at him, so we might see another play here.
We're seeing big combos already coming out here. 47%. Very strong combo coming out from the Samus here. Gordo coming out here. Good edge guard. Are we able to see a stock?
So you got to play real careful. Up to 100% right now.
Samus is doing a good job of controlling space here, making it very difficult for the DDD to take the space that he needs to win this match.
Yeah, like Gordo being launched out.
Good now for that platform.
She's putting the pressure on him at 135%. She's in a very dangerous...
Gordo could have been very dangerous here if DDD wasn't careful.
Absolutely. From the Samus. BSU taking another one, just at one stock. Wow, insane plays from the King DDD right there.
Boise State up 1.
Up 1. Wow, had a rough start, but they made an insane comeback so far.
Gordo DDD was able to get in there and convert off a single grab and take the final stock.
Absolutely. The moment she got knocked off the stage there at the end, it was all over for her. He had every plan in mind to make sure he could combo her with every single big attack he had, and it managed to get that third and final stock, all without losing a single one.
It was also very surprising to see, say that big heavy characters are combo food, and we see how
great plays.
That was a run. I don't think we will see anything close tonight of that run of that DDD.
Absolutely not. But who knows? Tense situations.
100%. And we got to see how Washington State will approach the DDD if even they get crazy.
That one moment we saw, and the moment we saw that specific thing happen, we knew it was over for her. He might have been at 160%, and she was at 0%. But the moment that Gordo landed,
interesting characters because there are characters that can switch between two separate characters.
Yeah, different movesets for each.
Different weights.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Mithra is more of a character that you would use to try to...
Another combo launched on Samus.
Using the save options, Using the save option, using spin dash, or not spin dash, screw attack out of shield. Samus able to get back here. Very dangerous trying to.
So it's very tense right now, seeing them both go up slowly but surely.
We've seen the Samus change up her game plan here, trying to apply pressure to the Mithra to not let Mithra control the stage here.
She's doing a great job.
95% Pyra comes out here trying.
She's doing a great job.
95% Pyra comes out here trying to confirm the kill here. Pyra trying her best, trying to get it. Everyone's trying to scramble here. And we're trying to find just the right opening in the scramble in neutral.
Yeah, we see the Samus trying to launch those projectiles, but she's doing the projectiles or the whip or anything. The projectiles or the whip or anything she had. While at the same time, Pyra and Mithra are constantly being switched between depending on the situation they were in. Like you mentioned at the start, the Mithra is good for chipping that health away, but that Pyra is good for taking down those stocks. And we saw that being used to its prime effectiveness. Mithra being brought out for most of that.
This was interesting to watch because they definitely changed how they were fighting the DDD going into that last match.
We see the Olimar get brought back. He has a lot more range.
Already, how much damage these Pikmin can put in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Samus is struggling, trying to get these Pikmin off of her.
Those black.
Olimar apply the correct pressure here. Losing 2 Pikmin going off the edge, trying to apply pressure. Good recovery of his resources.
Managed to pull off some damage here on the Olimar. 0% to 55%. She has a new strategy in mind clearly and managed to use it very, very effectively against this Olimar.
Back.
Yeah, we saw that from DDD, and we saw a little bit of that again here from Samus. She went as at 160%, took out entire stock, only going up to 170%. So we see how these characters can be in these really tight spots, but a lot of the time it seems...
That is 100% correct. Well, we see that is 100% correct. Well, we see the Olimar, the Samus player was really adaptive on how the Olimar was using his projectiles to make sure going into the
If we're going off of the thing we've been seeing so far, we see a couple good matches from Samus, but I think there's going to be a change-up, which seems I'm correct. We see a Ganondorf instead.
Maybe we might see this again, you know, with how Ganondorf plays.
Yeah, so it'd be really cool to see this Olimar knowing exactly.
A good combo of 55%. That could have been devastating if that sword connected.
Yeah, 64% already. We see how heavy he hits and how well he is doing at landing these specific shots.
Yeah, a good job using.
You can get like 1 or 2 stocks down for the next round. That's what matters.
The Ganondorf is a really interesting pick. We don't see a lot.
We do see more of these heavy characters. Like I said at the start, I love watching these heavy characters because I love the hard-hitting, tanky characters. And so seeing so many of them being brought out is really exciting for me. But I do appreciate the fact that we're seeing the smaller characters too, because I love watching these heavy characters have to change up their strategies from going from fighting, like how we saw DDD going from fighting Donkey Kong to instead.
PK Thunder trying to recover here.
Yeah, we're on an even playing field right now, 2 stocks each.
Already up at 40%, and then pushing the Ganondorf off is very good. Good DI coming out from the Ganondorf, preventing him from losing the stock here.
130%, keeping that pressure on. Very scary. So.
BSU down 3 players now?
I believe so, yes. It's a little hard to keep track sometimes, but I do know that we've seen a lot of great plays from both sides. We've seen the strategy of, well, changing strategies. Because we mentioned it at the very start, changing up your strategies when necessary is so important, and we've seen that so much.
We're seeing Town City come out of here. This is the first time we saw this map come out with a very unique platform situation here.
Yeah, so